counting on you but yourself. One of the things that is very motivating, today it's easy because we've got, millions of customers counting on us, and thousands of investors counting on us, and then thousands of employees all counting on each other. But in that beginning stage, it's really just you. And you can quit any time. Nobody's going to care. And so you set about doing the simple things first. So you want to start a company. Well, the first thing you do is you should write a business plan. And so I did that. I wrote about a 30-page business plan. I wrote a first draft. In fact, I wrote the first draft on the car trip from the East Coast to the West Coast. And that was that is very helpful. The business plan won't survive its first encounters with reality. It will always be different. The reality will never be the plan. But the discipline of writing the plan forces you to think through some of the issues and to get sort of mentally comfortable in the space. Then you start to understand, if you push on this knob, this will move over here, and so on. And so that's the first step. Tried to get a lot of the little housekeeping details done even before we arrived in Seattle. Called an attorney, actually. I called a friend who lived in Seattle, asked could he recommend an attorney. He said yes, he recommended his divorce lawyer. But that's who we used. It was a general practitioner and a small guy, a sort of small sole practitioner. He incorporated the company. He asked me on the cell phone, what name would you like the company incorporated under? I said, Cadabra, as in abracadabra. And he said, cadaver? And I knew then that was not going to be a good name. So we went ahead and incorporated it under that name. We changed it about 3 months later. I stopped in San Francisco and interviewed vice presidents of engineering, because that was going to be an important long lead time item. We needed to build the technology that would run the store. And found the person who turned out to be the most important person ever in the history of Amazon.com on that trip, a guy named Shel Kappan, who built all of our early systems with help from others, but he really sort of architected them and engineered them and just did a fantastic job. So that so the initial hiring, writing the business plan, the initial hiring, getting the company incorporated. All these are, they're very, in a way, they're sort of, simple, almost pedestrian tasks, but that's how you start, one step at a time. The first sort of initial startup capital for Amazon.com came primarily from my parents, and they invested a large fraction of their life savings in what became Amazon.com. And, that is was a very bold and trusting thing for them to do, because they didn't, my dad's first question was, what's the internet? Okay, so he wasn't making a bet on this company or this concept. He was making a bet on his son, as was my mother. So, and I told them that I thought there was a 70% chance that they would lose their whole investment, which was a few $100,000. And they did it anyway, and I thought I was giving myself triple the normal odds, because there's really if you look at the odds of a startup company succeeding at all, it's only about 10%. Here I was giving myself a 30% chance. Startup companies need early planetary alignment, because there are so many things that can go wrong. And when we launched that store in July of 1995, we were shocked at the customer response. Literally in the first 30 days, we had orders from all 50 states and 45 different countries. And we were woefully unprepared from an operational point of view to handle that kind of volume. And in fact, we quickly expanded. We talked to our landlord, and we expanded into a 2,000 square foot basement warehouse space. It had 6-foot ceilings. One of our 10 employees was 6'2". He went around like this the whole time, and we were doing our day jobs, which might have been computer programming and all the different things that 10 people will do in a little tiny startup company, and then we would spend all afternoon and into the wee hours of the morning
packing up the orders and shipping them out. I would drive these things to UPS, and so we'd get the last one, and we'd wait to the last second. I'd get to UPS, and I'd sort of bang on the glass door that was closed, and they always would take pity on me and sort of open up and let us, ship things late. We had so many orders that we weren't ready for that we had no real organization in our distribution centers at all. In fact, we were packing on our hands and knees on a hard concrete floor, and I remember, just to show you how stupid I can be. My only defense is that it was late, but we were packing these things. Everybody in the company. And I had this brainstorm, and as I said to the person next to me, this packing is killing me. My back hurts. This is killing my knees on this hard cement floor. And the person said, yeah, I know what you mean. And I said, you know what we need? This is my brilliant insight. We need knee pads. I was very serious. And this person looked at me like I was the stupidest person they'd ever seen. They're like, I'm working for this person. This is great. And said, what we need is packing tables. And I looked at this person, and I thought that was the smartest idea I'd ever heard. The next day we got packing tables, and I think we doubled our productivity. That early stage, by the way, of Amazon.com, where we were so unprepared, is probably one of the luckiest things that ever happened to us, because it formed a culture of customer service in every department of the company, every single person in the company, because we had to work with our hands so close to the customers, making sure those orders went out, really set up a culture that served us well. And that is our goal, to be Earth's most customer-centric company.
And then a second round of fundraising about a year later or so, we raised $1 million, and I had to talk to about 60 different people. This is angel investors, so venture capitalists were totally uninterested. And this was a time, it wasn't like what people think of today. And in 1998 and 1999, you could raise $60 million for an internet idea without a business plan, with a single phone call. It was a very different era. But back in 1995,